back in Utah.
Welcome.
Stay in your lane. Stay in your lane.
The bottom line is you are to listen to your leader and follow that guidance and that wisdom.
I'll be back on the Zoom in Utah. I was just in. I had to jump on there because it starts the same time. I had to jump on there because I was hosting that one. I had to intro our guest speaker out of California, and then I quietly hit the eject button and snuck over here. So that's why I was just about 5
minutes. We're in like the same time slot.
Oh yeah. We start at 7 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. You guys start at 9. Yep. So, but I promised you, I felt so bad that I promised I'd do your call last week, and then I had something come up. My wife surprised me with theater tickets to go to a play with a date with another couple, and I'm like, oh, you bought the tickets for what night?
Life happens, and it was perfect because our first week of the month tends to be recognition, and so we were able to really just take that time and honor the people who've been working so hard in our area. And then we also, because we do have that Massachusetts license here, we actually took the time to talk about that process and really try to demystify it so that people feel that it's not a barrier, that instead it's just one more step like anything else. And so we know that people love talking about it. We do it at least once a quarter is the way we handle it, to just kind of talk about that. So it worked out beautifully. And here you are, which is, I think, a fantastic segue into where we're going to be next week together and apart.
Cool. Yeah. Next week.
So it is 9:13. This is your time now. If you're going to bring any folks on, if you're going to, oh, look at that. If you're going to share this with your team, again, anybody's welcome. We do have the replay that's available both on Bay State LSA, and also I know that Jim always puts that onto the New England page as well. And hi there, it is 9:14. So good to see you, Mr. Tanner.
Hello.
We are settling in very nicely. It was a stunning day out here in New England, just absolutely stellar. So
Jim would have been here sooner, but he just had 3 more recruits to sign up before he came on board.
Trying to keep up with Steve Brown.
Right? I was taught that's the only reason you would be late to something is that you're busy signing somebody up. Right?
That's not the only thing you were taught, Joe. You're also taught if you're going to be late, be so late they're just glad to see you, right?
It was the one that I was going to admit to in public because we are recording and streaming. So it is 9:14 and people are hopping on. Ooh, great. Dave Hall, you are a draw. Good evening, everybody. It is Thursday night and 9:15 here in the amazing Northern 4 New England. How are you? My name is Joe Welch, and Jim, I'm sure you're already doing this and adding that to our New England page. And so we're reaching out to folks not only here on the Zoom, but also out in Facebook land. We do want to let folks know that this is an associates only event, and it doesn't mean that it's limited just to New England. We want to make sure that if you want to come on board, if you want to come and check us out, that you're always welcome to do so and extend it to your team. We do have just a few announcements we're going to do at the end of the hour, but what we want to do is I just want to start by expressing my excitement. I belong to the Moore team, and as I said to those who arrive early into the room, my cousin is here, Dave Hall. Dave Hall is also on the Moore team. He's such a generous guy. He's already taken time out of his schedule to give me some education. I was asking some questions. He's that kind of leader. Mr. Hall is also an Emerald Elite for Group, which means that he is in the top 100 producers in the company, as well as top 10 in the company for retention. And when I saw his retention number, I fell out of my chair a little. He's at 92%. I mean, these are definitely things that we're all striving. And so I'm just so excited that he's here. And that has been for the last 12 months. And he's also in the Circle of Champions. And I just want to thank him so very much for coming to speak to us. I'm going to go ahead and spotlight him. We are here for you. Dave, thank you so much. And I'm going to turn the stage over to you.
Wonderful. Everyone hear me okay? Okay, good. I see a thumbs up. That's good. All right. So I don't know what your traditional format is, and I don't think it would matter if I did or not, because I really not one for following rules. So here's how things are going to roll tonight. I'm going to tell you guys just a little bit of a story. I'm going to mix in some philosophies in the story and draw attention to them. And then I'm going to show you guys some pictures and run through, again, stories tell, facts sell. Facts tell, stories sell. There we go. And then at the end, if there's time and you would like, I'm happy to answer any questions. So if a question comes up while I'm going through information, write it down. You're like, oh, I want to know this. Boom. And if there's time, I'll stay as late as y'all want. Sun's still up. If you can't see outside, the sun's still up where I'm at. So I'll stay up as late as y'all want. I talked to my wife. She said I could stay up late tonight. So anyhow, a little bit about my background. My background is I don't have a high school diploma. I don't have a GED. Did manual labor jobs before Legal Shield my entire adult life. The reason is when I was about 16, my father was diagnosed with cancer. I was one of 9 kids. I was one of the oldest ones. And so while he was going through the VA hospital system, the radiation, the chemotherapy, the surgeries, there was no money coming in. And the setup that we had at my house as a child was dad went to work, paid all the bills. Mom took care of the kids, and there was 9 of us. So that was a full-time job, okay? The bank was sending letters to our house, but my mom would just put them on his desk. And we're like, when he gets out of the hospital, he'll open that mail. It's from the bank. That's what he does. Well, we woke up one morning, both the cars were gone. Bank came and just took them. We'd been behind for months on them. A few days later, the sheriff's department showed up at our house and lets us know our house had already been sold at a public auction. We were trespassing on the new owner's property, and we had 24 hours to be out. Now, my parents are both college educated people. They both encouraged me to go to school, get good grades, get a good resume, go get that good job. But that's what my dad did. And I realized, hold on, you did that. And where has that left you? We're homeless. Maybe that's not the best plan to follow anymore. So I dropped out of high school. I went and got a job to meet some of the family financial needs. Here's what I found out. When you're uneducated, you get minimum wage or very close to that. And that's where I stayed for many years. In fact, when I got married, I was making $4.25 an hour. One thing I know for sure, my wife is not a gold digger. When you're making $4.25, you can guarantee you she ain't marrying you for the money. So it had to be the muscles, boom, or something else. But anyhow, first 2 kids were born on $6 an hour, no government assistance. We just figured out a way to make it, and we lived on almost nothing. And that's when I was introduced to the home-based business industry. It wasn't Legal Shield. It was another company, health and wellness product company. But here's what I fell in love with. The guy telling me about it said, Dave, you can work when you want, with who you want, no limit on what you can make, and we won't judge you because you don't have a high school diploma. And I'm like, finally, that was so refreshing, because every job application that I went and filled out up to that time, it said, circle your highest level of education. And it started at high school and went up from there. And every time I would just pretend like I didn't see that question and skip it, because I couldn't circle the lowest bar on the application. And so I fell in love with that concept. The problem is you had to sign up for this thing called auto ship. And that means every month they'd send you a new case of stuff. And it was good, high quality stuff. I'm not bashing the quality of the product. What I'm saying is it was just me and my wife. We could barely survive financially. And I'm getting $200 worth of stuff showing up every month that I couldn't afford. And my heart made me stay in that company, hoping that this company would work, until my credit card wouldn't clear anymore. And because I wasn't buying my required auto ship, they kicked me out of the company. And took me over 10 years to use up the last bottle of stuff from that company. Early 1990s. Then we went into another company that was telecommunications. Some of you may remember XL Telecommunications. They actually, I see Steve remembers those days. We were selling long distance on landlines, but people were buying cell phones left and right, and landlines were being cut left and right, mid 1990s. And so all of a sudden, I just got in what was at one time a really good company where people made a lot of money. Timing in an industry is important. I got on the sinking ship and put a ton of work in, and it just got harder and harder and harder. Again, never made back my investment to even get in that company. Second failure. Then I got involved with a startup company. I was at an event where they said, have you ever noticed only the people at the top making money in this company, in these companies? And I'm like, yeah. They're like, well, congratulations, you're at the top. We are in pre-launch phase. We haven't launched yet, but we're getting in 3 months, and you are what we call a founding distributor. And I'm like, yeah, we finally made it to the top. We're at the top now. It was a $500 buy-in. I wrote him a check and had to do all kinds of side hustles to make that check clear. But 3 months later, when it was supposed to be launch phase, the AG's office had already shut them down. Nobody made any money in that company. And now I've had egg on my face 3 times in a row. And then I was invited to another presentation where I'm sitting in a hotel room. And again, mid 1990s, they say, how many of you are on the World Wide Web? And I look around, there's about 30 of us in the room. Nobody. Now, we'd heard of the web, but we didn't have it hooked up in our homes. And he said, let me show you the future of business. And he had a computer plugged in with a phone cord that ran over and plugged into a phone jack on the wall. Then he dialed up a phone number, and then it started chinging and purring and pinging. You guys know some of you older people know the noise I'm talking about. You know, you had your AOL 50 hours of free internet CD in the hard drive. And he took us online, and I saw the internet for the first time. And he goes, now watch this. And he went to their website, and he clicked on a couple products, put them in the shopping cart, checked out. And he's like, in less than 3 weeks, all of these will be delivered to our house. And we were like, holy crap, you just went shopping without going shopping. Like, this was George Jetson technology. Like stuff's just going to show up at your house because you get on a computer. Guys, this is before Amazon. Some of you have this like so boring face, like, big freaking deal, I'm on Amazon Prime. I know you are. I know you are. Spare me your brilliance, okay? We're in the 90s back then, okay? And so we were impressed. But then he read articles from like Forbes, Money, Inc., Fortune, USA Today, and it started talking about how everyone will be shopping online in the future. All commerce will go over the internet. And those that pioneer this industry will make billions. Oh my gosh, I got goosebumps. The hair was standing up on my arms. I was like, he's talking about us in this room. Well, really, he was talking about an industry, but it felt like he was talking about us in this room. And he says, how would you like to own your own virtual mall? And I'm like, oh my gosh, could it possibly happen? And he's like, for a one-time investment of only $5,000, we can set you up with a virtual mall where people will now come to your mall and buy all their stuff, and you'll get a commission on everything they buy. And oh my gosh, we were going nuts. This was so exciting. Well, me and my wife, we happen to have one credit card set aside for emergency purposes, you know, like when the car breaks down or something else like that. But it happened to have a $5,000 limit on it. And my wife happened to be back at home. So all the stars had perfectly lined up. I pulled out that card, I slapped it down, and I bought a virtual mall that night. now I had to go home and explain to my wife, first of all, what the internet is, but then second of all, what a virtual mall is. And when I was done explaining it all to her, she quickly explained where the virtual couch was. She was so pissed off that I had now spent $5,000 on a mall that we can't touch, see, or feel. And if we ever want to shop at our mall, we have to have a computer. But we can't buy a computer because we are now $5,000 in debt. So to use a computer, we would have to go to the library, which means we'd have to drive past Walmart and Costco and Sears and all the stores that we could just buy this stuff anyway and take it home that night. But no, we could go all the way across town to the library, buy it, and then drive back home and wait 3 weeks for it to be shipped to us. And it didn't sound near as prestigious when my wife explained it back to me what I had done. I told everybody in the world to shop at my mall. Nobody ever went to my mall. Nobody ever bought a single thing from my virtual mall. But it took me over 3 years at 20-something% interest to pay off my virtual mall. And that's where I was. When my wife took away my credit card, she took away my man card, she took away my debit card, she took every card she could find out of my wallet and made me take that oath that we will never do another home-based business ever again, so help me God. I know there's somebody else on this call that has taken that oath before, but you fell off the wagon and there's a 12-step program for you somewhere because you're on this webinar as an associate. But anyhow, November 29th, 1999, lady knocks on my door. Hey, Dave, I got something to show you. Take about 15 minutes. You may or may not be interested. And I thought, uh-oh, this sounds like one of those things that I'm forbidden to do. Like, I can't do these. But, you know, it's uncomfortable to say to somebody, my wife won't let me do these things. So I decided I'm going to throw my wife under the bus, make her be the bad person and say no. So I invited the person to come in and show us the video. But I went in the other room and I'm like, hey, Wendy, Linda's here. She's got this video about this thing. I think it's one of those network marketing companies. And I know, can't do them. They don't work. We tried 4 of them. We don't have the time. We don't have the money. We're not going to do it. Okay, if you got my back, I got your back. Pinky swear. All right. So we go in and we watch this video, and halfway through the video, it's talking about how the service will do your will, your living will, healthcare power of attorney. And my wife's like, well, Dave, we've got 2 kids. We don't even have our own will done. Like we need the service. And I'm like, you know, I thought you like Pinky swore and then you throw me under the bus and in front of her tells me we have to buy this. Okay, whatever, I'll go with it. Happy wife, happy life. So we became members and that's it. No associate, just member. But then the law firm starts working on my will. And one day I called them about the will and I was talking about another thing. I said, hey, a couple of years ago, my landlord kept my cleaning deposit. And the place was cleaner when we moved out than when we moved in. Like, it didn't feel right that he did that to us. Is there anything we could have done? And the attorney's like, send me up his information. I'll send a demand letter. Okay. So my attorney sent a letter and the landlord refunded the entire thing, which paid for my legal plan for like the next 3 years. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. And then I got pulled over, I got a traffic ticket and they went to court and fought it. And I find myself at work talking with the coworkers and I'm telling them about these things the attorney's doing for me. And one of the guys at work goes, Dave, you're full of crap. And I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, you show up to work in a salvaged title, Geo Metro, and then tell us stories about your attorney. Sure you have an attorney. And I realized nobody believed me. So I went home and I brought the VHS videotape back to work the next day. And I gave it to the guy and I said, here, you need to go watch this. And he went home and watched it. He comes back and he says, hey, me and my wife watched that video. We need to get that. How do we get that service? And now the other coworkers that watched him ridicule me are like, well, what are you getting from Hall? Oh, it's this legal plan. It's so cool. Unlimited phone consultation, contract and document review. They'll fight traffic tickets. Now all of a sudden he's selling it to them and People are like, hey, my cell phone company treated me unfairly. Hey, I've got a problem with my gym membership. Hey, I got a credit card. Next thing you know, there's a half a dozen people that want to buy a legal plan, and there ain't nobody at work that can sell it. So I'm like, hold on. I see a need in the marketplace. I contacted Linda, the lady that sold me my membership. I said, hey, I know that's a network marketing company. Like, how do I make money? She's like, well, it'd be another $249 investment. And I'm like, oh man, I was about $249 short of $249 at that phase of my life. And, but I knew my mother-in-law had a credit card. So I called my mother-in-law, asked her if I could borrow her credit card to sign up in another network marketing company. This is company number 5, by the way. And I was now the boy who cried wolf 4 times, calling, asking for money to do the 5th one. Okay. But fortunately, my mother-in-law loaned me her credit card. We signed up, and our first month we went out and made $2,000 just sharing stories of what the law firm had already done for us. I didn't know hardly anything about the company. They didn't have nice Zooms. They didn't have nice trainings. They didn't have any briefings or anything in the whole state of Utah. But all I could say is, here's what they've done for me. Boom, boom, and boom. I shared stories, and people were like, hey, I need that. And then within a few months, it started paying me more than my full-time job. Don't get delusional. It didn't take very much to pay more than my job. Okay. Sounds really nice when you say it that way, though. Second year, though, we made a 6-figure income. Today, it's a multiple 6 figures. Today, I wake up every day of my life and just say, what do I want to do? And we go do it. And most of that time, it consists of working. But tomorrow I'm taking off. I'm headed to the south end of the state to go build a shed for my mom. My mom's 75 years old. She lives down in St. George, Utah, and she wants a shed. So I said, I'll come build it for you because I don't have to ask for time off work. By the way, my mom told me no for 10 months. Then finally my mom saw that it was working for me. She goes, oh, I need to take a look at that. Now my mom raised 9 kids from a first marriage, 5 kids from a second marriage. And after raising 14 children, she finally was an empty nester in her 60s. She didn't own a computer. She didn't know how to even send an email to anybody. But now she starts following the system we teach here at Legal Shield. Today, my mom's in her mid-70s. She's a $100,000 ring earner in Legal Shield. She's also a Millionaire Club member. You guys, she's made $1 million in her retirement years, learning a whole new skill, how to do a network marketing company. Do you know anyone about ready to retire that thinks, I might like a little extra money during my retirement years? Here's the best part about that. 100% of my mom's income is willable. And I know who her favorite kid is, because I helped her prepare her will. The other 13 kids will find out after the funeral. Okay. So let's just keep that on the down low for right now. But you know what? We've been able to have a lot of family and friends walk away, be parents, be grandparents, and just do what they want to do. So with that said, I'm going to do a screen share. If that's okay, I'm going to do a screen share. I'm going to just show you guys some photos, because here's what I believe. I believe that if you could tell some good stories and then document it, it makes it a lot more believable. And I'm going to just whip through some. I just randomly, while I was at a trampoline park today, randomly went through and grabbed a bunch of these photos. Some of them I'd love to tell you the whole story, but I'm just not going to have time. This is a fairly recent picture of my family. It's about 2 years old, so it can be updated, but I'm the good looking one in the middle if you couldn't figure out which one's me. That's my wife on my, as I look at the screen on the right. My oldest son, he's in college down here. My daughter off to the far left in the black shirt just got married a year ago. And then the rest of them are still hanging around the house and stuff like that. But you know what? I've got to be the soccer coach. I'm currently the soccer coach of the little boy in the blue plaid shirt. I'm the soccer coach. I've been the football coach. I've been the basketball coach. I've been the scoutmaster. I've gone on so many school field trips. They think I'm the bus driver sometimes. I mean, my kids sign me up for everything because here's what my kids think. My kids think it's weird if mom or dad have to leave the house. My kids don't know that a whole lot of kids get dropped off in kiddie prison 6 days a week while parents go to try to just survive. And my kids will never grow up in the childhood that I grew up in, watching, your parents be homeless and go through all kinds of stress, trying to figure out how to just put food on the table because of Legal Shield. It has changed our lives. Now, this is a photo of my family when I was a kid. Can anyone tell which one's me? Okay. No, I'm not the one with the bonnet on, if you're wondering. I'm the Civil War on the left, top left corner. That's me. Now, this photo was taken when we didn't know how much longer my dad had to live. He'd lost all of his hair and he didn't want to have a family photo taken while he was bald. So we found a way to kind of hide it by everybody dressing up in a costume to disguise it. And so he went along with getting one more family photo taken because we all kind of hid it in behind uniforms and stuff like that. This shows a paycheck or early on in my marriage. I already had 2 kids. For 2 weeks worth of work, I brought home $758.51. Guys, that's $1,500 a month income. That's $18,000 a year. 4 people were living on that. This was one of the first conventions in Dallas, Texas, where we went executive director and we walked the stage for the very first time. Those are my first 2 kids. We only had 2 kids at the time. And we were new executive directors in the company, and somebody in the audience snapped this photo and gave it to me later. And I was like, I was so thankful to have it because I didn't document any of the challenges and the struggles early on in my business. For those of you that are early on, keep a journal. Write down the struggles, write down the challenges, because I'm going to tell you, someday you'll be a millionaire, and guess what people will think? You don't know what it's like to be me. You don't know what it's like to struggle. Trust me, everyone has been there. If you haven't cried yourself to sleep numerous times, you're probably not ready for leadership, because it's the bigger the level, the bigger the devil. You just got to learn how to solve problems on a bigger scale. As this is my oldest son, being his soccer coach when he was a little kid, being his football coach when he got in junior high. When he got up to college age, I'm a diehard BYU football fan, and we travel the nation going to BYU football games. We usually pick out 3 or 4 away games every single year and go to them. This right here is in Camp Randall Stadium, University of Wisconsin. We went out there game. But a couple years ago, I was out there when BYU played UMass. Gillette Stadium. I was right there, came out to Boston, hung out with all you guys, went and did all the fun scenic things in New England and stuff like that. It was a great time, but diehard football fan. As you can see, this is in front of my house at night. I have a big 7-foot neon blue Y that lights up on the front of my house and stuff like that. My son recently returned home from serving a 2-year mission for our church, preaching the gospel. This is my next daughter, the one that just got married. She has been a horse fanatic ever since she was a little tiny girl. She would always go out and just wander around in the horse corrals and stuff like that. When she was a little girl, when she was 5, we got her first horse. This is Romeo. She woke up Christmas morning with a big black horse in the backyard with a red ribbon on it and stuff like that. And ever since then, we've gone through so many stinking horses. She braids their tails. She combs their hair. They're like her dolls and stuff like that. But a few years ago, just her and I took off for a whole week. We packed up the mules and the horses, and we went up in the Rocky Mountains on an elk hunt for an entire week. It was just me and her, father, daughter, and it's such quality, good time. The memories that we created just hanging out up there are priceless. I mean, absolutely priceless. Just the scenery of just being up there on top of the mountains and seeing the whole valley and stuff like that hanging out, just absolutely amazing. This is my next daughter. She cuts her own hair, if you can't tell. Hey, does anybody have one of those daughters? Get a hold of the scissors and those fangs are gone. No, we didn't do that. That's not child abuse. She did it to herself and stuff like that. But we go camping a lot. She loves s'mores and stuff like that. This is my next son. He's kind of like my riding buddy, my four-wheeling buddy. These are some Indian ruins in southern Utah that we went and found. They're up in cliffs, a double-decker Indian ruin tucked back underneath a ledge hidden up there. There's so many cool ancient ruins. We go to the childhood home of Butch Cassidy. We go see the canyon where him and Sundance Kid used to rob the stagecoach and stuff. I'm telling you, you ever come to Utah, I will take you out on a history four-wheeling trip and show you some of the coolest things. It will blow your mind. Then we'll just stop, grab the fishing poles, cook us up some lunch right there on the side of the mountain and stuff like that. I'm not afraid to embarrass him and show up at school dressed like a chicken just to completely embarrass him and stuff like that, because that's what I do. Is I love to just create memorable things for my kids. There's my next daughter. She dresses herself. She looks like a little gypsy. Mom was out of town. I was in charge of taking her to school that day. I'm like, hurry and get dressed. She comes out front dressed like that. I'm like, whatever, I'm not going to fight it. We're going to school. She has some of the craziest outfits in the world up there. But again, she's a little animal lover too. I can't keep her out of the horse corrals, playing with the ponies and stuff like that. This is me and her little brother. They're behind her at Chuck E. Cheese in the middle of the day. And guess what? It's just us. They're like, the whole place is empty. It's just me and my kids. And like, my dad never got to do that kind of stuff when I was a kid. My dad never got to take a day off of working. He always like, yeah, I can't afford to take you to Chuck E. Cheese because I have to take a day off of work to take you to Chuck E. Cheese. When, you know what, today I spent half the day at the trampoline park working my business while my kids were jumping on the stuff like that. This is my next son. His name is Cougar because I'm a diehard BYU fan. Their mascot is Cougars. My wife finally let me pick out one kid name, so I named him Cougar. I said, better be your son than your next daughter, because that won't be as fun if her name's Cougar. So we better let him have that name and stuff. He was chosen at church a little while back to be the Reverend's child. You can tell he's a little bit upset and grumpy about being the Reverend's child and stuff like that. But he's always getting into mud and dirt and he'll pull his crazy eye face at you and stuff like that. But it just makes me laugh all day long. He loves playing Pie Face. If you don't have Pie Face, you need to get Pie Face for little kids. It's just a random thing of when is that little hand going to slap up and throw pie in somebody's face. He'll sit there, instead of letting everybody have a turn, he'll sit there and just keep turning the knob until it hits him in the face with pie. He doesn't understand there's actually rules to the game and stuff like that. This is him with his little puppy, him riding some of the ponies. My youngest daughter, Sydney, we took her to Cancun with us. We've taken her to Hawaii with us. We've taken her all over. This is us just camping, having some fun in the motorhome. We also take the toys out in the toy hauler. This is Zion National Park. You guys, oh my gosh, 85% of the state of Utah is just natural parks, state parks, resources where you just get to go out there and just see so much fun stuff. Disneyland again, a few years later, we added a few more kids. Yellowstone, it's only a few hours away from us. We can go up there and see the national parks up there and rent a buggy and go for a horseback ride through there. A few years ago, we decided to do a road trip all the way to the East Coast. We made it all the way up there to Niagara Falls and stuff like that. But every state, I'm like, oh, state line, we got to get out. Got to get a picture on the state line. My kids are like, seriously, Dad? Like every single state. I'm like Clark Griswold. I annoy the heck out of my kids. But I'm like, someday you guys will appreciate this because Dad is documenting the fun things that we do. For those of you that have been around a while, you remember Wilburn Smith. That's the gentleman over my shoulder. This is him in his private jet. He came to Utah to do an event, and it was the middle of the winter, so it was cold. He wanted to go out for lunch, but he doesn't like the cold. So he's like, who wants to go for lunch down in St. George, Utah? Like, it's like a Las Vegas climate, like 20 degrees warmer than it is up here in Salt Lake. The jet fuel to go down and back for lunch was $1,500. But he's like, I'm going anyway. He's like, Dave, you got any associates that want to go to lunch in St. George today? And I'm like, how many can I bring? He's got 6. So I called up 6 of my associates and I'm like, if you can get to the Salt Lake International Airport in under a half hour, I've got a private jet gassed up, ready to go, take you to lunch. And like everyone was squealing their wheels to get there. And it was so much fun. Wilburn was such a great guy. He's not here anymore. He's passed on. But boy, did we have some fun memories when he was here. And anyone that knows me knows I'm loading up the 4-wheelers and getting out of town every weekend that I can. Take out, you know, my whole team. I take all my executive directors. We rent cabins up in the mountains and we just go ride and ride and ride and have so much fun. Some of you guys may recognize some of these people. Josh Denny's in there. Chris Hughes is in there. Travis Alexander. We lost Travis Alexander a few years ago. Very tragic situation. I won't go into all the details and stuff like that, but my memories, my pictures with Travis, he's the one on the far left in the dark blue Navy shirt. My memories of Travis and doing the fun things on the team together are absolutely priceless. I love them so much. We've had every platinum you can think of out here practically to go have fun. We're talking everyone from Mr. Darnell self. We take him out, go have some fun up in the mountains. Brian Carruthers has come out here and gone with us, done a lot of fun things. Danny Katoa, and we could go on and on and on about funny stories about these guys and how many of them, let's say, are equipped and understand how to ride a 4-wheeler, and some don't. And that means we're pulling them out of a mud hole somewhere out there and stuff. Different cars that we've been able to have, different toys that we've been able to have, different river running trips that we've been able to do. We parties that we just recognition of our team, renting limousines and just saying, hey, look, come with us. We're going to go out to eat and drive around and pick them all up and take them out to a restaurant and stuff like that. I did mess with one of my associates who fell asleep on my bed at convention one year when I told him not to, and I shaved his eyebrow off while he was asleep on my bed because I told him not to do it, and he did it anyway. Anyway, so if you ever see Damian Schieber, tell him, hey, I understand that your eyebrows grow back pretty quick. He was a good sport about it. Going snowmobiling and stuff like that with our team, going on different hunting trips around the world, cruises with our team. This was our very first team cruise that we ever went on. A few years ago, we had up over 50 executive directors on the team going cruising, chartering helicopters, Players Club trips all over the world. We've been on over 20 all expense performance club trips to different places. Every one of them absolutely breathtaking and wonderful. And hanging out with, again, the late, great Dave Savula, Mark Brown. That's my mom. Going to Israel, seeing the Holy Lands, seeing the Taj Mahal, floating in the Dead Sea, taking the Uber in Israel. It's a little different Uber over there. This is the Garden of Gethsemane. This is the tomb where Christ's body laid for 3 days. Volunteering with our kids in charity places. This is an orphanage down in Peru that we went down and did a 2-week service project for all the kids down there. They're blind children in an orphanage, and we took down a whole bunch of goods and medicines and medical equipment and devices and stuff like that. And we worked in the orphanage for 2 weeks, and then we went on an exotic hike. We took him a whole bunch of toys down there. This is a little guy, he'd lost 95% of his eyesight, but he could see a little tiny red light on the front nose of that airplane. And look at that smile on his face. I'm telling you, this kid had never had a toy in his life. And he finally got an airplane. And even though he couldn't see the airplane, he could see the red light. And he didn't let that go for 3 days. He just held on to that toy. It's amazing how valuable these things are to these kids. You know, soccer balls. This is just pumping up a soccer ball on their court and stuff like that. And the kids just absolutely swarm you because they don't have a father figure. They heard that the nuns that run this place heard that I had 5 daughters and that they never have enough time to do all the little girls' hair there at the orphanage. So they asked me in the evening, would you mind doing hair? We need someone that can help do hair. So I probably did 20 little girls' hair that day while I was there at the orphanage and stuff like that, hanging out with them. We did face painting and stuff like that. Just fun little things with them to, you know, get the kids laugh. And then we repainted the entire orphanage. Don't ask me why they picked out Pepto-Bismol as a color, but I guess they don't care. It's the cheapest paint down there. But then we just got to go hike around and see the stuff. I took my daughter down there. She painted this scenery inside the orphanage on the kids' cabinets just to make them not boring. She painted amazing murals all over inside them. These kids were just like, oh my God, they'd never seen horses. And they were so amazed with what this was. They have some interesting cuisine down there at the restaurants. This was a guinea pig and stuff. And then we went hiking up in the Andes, clear up over 17,000 foot mountains, got to hike up through the Sun Gate and then down into Machu Picchu and spend a couple days there and then go up to Huayna Picchu and stuff like that. Just absolutely breathtaking views down there. Been able to hang out with people like Ken Moore, Darnell Self, Harlan Stone Cipher, and John Ashcroft, United States Attorney General. And then that's on the far right, Mark Shurtleff, Utah Attorney General, Robert Kiyosaki. We got a briefcase with $10,000 cash given to us one year at convention. We thought that was nice, but check this out. These are some of the bonus checks that we've helped people on our team earn. We helped Jennifer earn a bonus check of $45,000. We helped Vern earn a check of $41,000. His name isn't Rat Pack and stuff like this, but $55,000 bonus on top of their income. But check this one out. $142,000 bonus check. Bonus on top of their six-figure income. You guys, these are bonus checks that our company gives out at conventions. Some people could pay off half their house with some of these checks, letting the kids play in the money and showing up at the corporate office. Got to spend, right before Harlan passed away, I got to go out there and spend some time up in the penthouse suite, having dinner with him and spending a few hours just talking with him and ask him anything I want. And that's a whole nother training for a whole nother day. But I'm going to stop there. There's only a few minutes left because I've taken up a bunch of time. But hopefully someone on this call goes, you know what? Here's a guy with a 10th grade education that if you put me in the real world, if you put me out in corporate America, what am I really worth per hour? 10th grade education. Guys, $15 an hour? That's what I'm worth in the real world. Without Legal Shield. Legal Shield has paid my family millions of dollars. I don't take it for granted 1 second. Save it be by the grace of God, somebody might have prejudged me and thought, I don't want to show this to Dave. He don't even have a high school diploma. Do we ever prejudge somebody and say, I'm afraid to talk to them? They might say no. If Linda would have prejudged me and not showed me Legal Shield, what type of a life would my kids have? Would we be able to help those orphans in South America? You guys, it's so much more than just us. Like Linda giving me that video has affected thousands and thousands of lives. And that's why I'm passionate about this company. That's why I try never to prejudge anybody. And I'm always out sharing because I know someday I'm going to plant that seed. And 10 years from now, they're going to be saying, craziest thing. I was sitting at this restaurant. This random guy next to me goes, hey, I love your hat. We stroke up a conversation. He goes, I got something you might be interested in. Is it okay if I text you a video? And bam, he texted me a video. And my wife got her cancer treatments done because we were able to pay cash. You guys, someone's going to have those stories about you every night, every single night. When I say my prayers before I go to bed, I thank Linda for sharing this with me. I don't know who you're supposed to share it with tomorrow, but it's somebody. Don't miss that opportunity. With that, I'll throw it back to you, Joe.
Dave, thank you. Unbelievable. Thank you so much for sharing your story. You know, we talk about a lot of things in our trainings, we talk a lot about a lot of things in our conferences. And I just want to say thank you, Dave, for taking us on the journey of your story and showing us the day to day. You know, for me personally, and maybe for those of us on this call, you know, I'm trying to imagine what it will be like to be in your shoes, to look at my bank account and have millions and have those kind of things taken out. And it feels almost foreign. Like I can't wrap my brain around it. But being able to think about what it would be like to be with my kids, to what it'd be like to be able to do this, I'm very, very grateful. And so I know that you said you were open for questions. So I definitely want to open that up to folks. If I will take about 2 or 3 people, if anybody wants to make a comment or a question.
Sorry, guys, I got bad allergies. It's allergy season.
I know you to be a smushy guy. So that is typical. That's par for the course. Do we have anybody who wants to, you can even make a comment. It doesn't have to be a question. I'm looking to see if
Hi,
anybody.
Joe. I do.
Oh,
So-
hang on 1 second. Oh, I caught Miss Sharon Mendes first, and then I'll catch you. Okay, Steve?
Hey, Dave, I want to thank you. What a wonderful journey. And I love the idea of documenting, even through pictures, that we do forget where we are and we don't think of it in the moment. But I think it was so great, especially when you came on stage and you received your first award. So my question has to do with some of its momentum and your belief. And I know network marketing is just transferring your belief to others, and we're just sharing it. But for those of us who are novice and with the general concept of sales, because sometimes whenever you think of sales, you think of that sleazy car salesman who's going to sell you that lemon and you're going to be left with it. And that's what most people imagine when they think of sales. And I'm just going to be right up front and honest. So how can you get over the fear of sharing this good news, because we believe in it, with people like our neighbors? And how do you get that conversation so that you can wind up getting out there and doing what you did, where you just had Linda share that with you and you shared your story, where some folks just tell me like, oh yeah, we already did our will, you know, we don't need that.
So great question. Let me ask you, Sharon, if you went to the Chevy dealership to buy a truck and they told you how great the Chevy trucks were, but secretly you parked across the street and waited for the dealership to close, and every single one of the salesmen there drove out of the back lot in a Ford truck, would you go back and buy a truck from them? No, because we know they're hypocrites. They're telling you it's a Chevy, but they choose to drive a Ford. So hearing about Legal Shield for the first time, I thought, I don't need a legal plan. I don't need attorneys. I don't have legal problems. Now, I hadn't been to jail in at least 3 weeks. That was a joke. That was a joke, everybody, okay? I had never used an attorney. My brother's an attorney. My uncle's an attorney. I got 2 cousins that are attorneys. I already thought I got the hookup. But then when I saw the service, I thought, well, I need to get my will done. My brother, in-house legal counsel for a computer company. He don't do wills. My uncle's an IRS guy. He don't do wills. I'll just get that. Now, I'm going to show you something. Let me grab something. Since joining Legal Shield, first 28 years of my life, I never used an attorney. Since joining Legal Shield, here's the stack of letters that my law firm has sent on my behalf. Every single one of these, I'm squishing them to make them all fit in. Every single one of these is from my law firm, Smart Schofield Schroeder, and every single one of these I have saved, but then I've scanned in all of these, so I have a scanning copy on my computer. Some of these are over $1.50. I've had situations up over $1 million, and I've had situations as small as $1.50. So I'm a product of the product. If you're not using your law firm, you're, first of all, not only cheating yourself because you're not getting the full value. You're paying for something, you're not getting the value. Second of all, you're not building your belief level, which is stopping you from sharing it with more people. I am so passionate because I've seen what they've done for me. And people are like, oh, well, I just can't think of anything to use it for. I don't care if it's a credit card application that came in the mail, send it in for them. Ask questions, have them review any document. Your estate planning, and people like, well, I already got, my estate planning done before this. Have them review it. The point is you want to just be in communication with them. Then every month our law firm has an open house. I'm there at the law firm open house, meeting all the attorneys, getting to know, they all know me by a first name basis up there. And that's not because I'm all of a sudden causing a lot of legal problems. It's because I've gone and really, I didn't dip my feet in the water. I did the cannonball off the top, the high diving board. Okay, so get immersed. Use the service all the time. I'm not encouraging you to go getting speeding tickets or anything else like that, but I'm saying look for opportunities to use the service, even if it's just questions, documents reviewed, calling about COVID-19 issues, landlords, new tax laws. I mean, when you're doing your taxes, it's that time of year, you're cooking the books, trying to make the number. You should be writing off everything out there. Call and say, hey, I need to talk to a tax attorney. Can I include this? Can I include that? What do I need to prove? But just find reasons to call and talk to your law firm. Once you get passionate about it, I don't ever feel like I'm selling this. I don't ever feel like a salesman. I feel like I'm like so happy to share it with people. Just like if you saw a good movie, you're going to tell, oh my gosh, you've got to go see this movie. You don't feel like a salesman when you say that. If you eat at a good restaurant and someone says, I don't know, where should we go eat this weekend? Oh my gosh, you have got to go try the food over at such and you don't feel like a salesman. You naturally just want to share things that bless your life. Let the service bless your life. It won't feel like sales.
Thank you.
I think we had Steve up next.
My question is totally irrelevant now.
What was your question?
Well, if I could have stated it a little bit differently, it was about stories. I saw how when you got your business started, it seemed to take off when you had stories to tell. And it would be, until we get our own stories, it would be nice to have a shortcut and have a book of stories that we could go to. I guess the real answer is go get your own story.
So early on in our business, there was a book called In Their Own Words. It was a book put out about Legal Shield stories. And at the beginning, I didn't have but 2 or 3 stories. But here's what I did do. I collected stories of everybody that I knew. And by the way, if anybody, you'd have to see my business briefing presentation because I weave in a half a dozen stories in my business briefing that kill all the objections out there. No time, no money. My wife won't let me do this. I don't need an attorney. Man, I kill all of them in the presentation. And it's specifically designed, my presentation is specifically designed to kill the objections. But at the beginning, I had to steal other people's stories. So if someone would ask a question, I could say, honestly, I don't know. I'm brand new. But what I do know is my friend Jim had this problem. He sent in a letter. Here's what happened. Someone asked another question. I don't know. But my friend Mike had this problem. The attorney did this, and that's what this is. And I would kill every question with a success story out there. And by the way, man, I got all kinds of props and stuff like that. It's funny you ask. When I was brand spanking new in the business, we didn't have this nice Prospect by Legal Shield funny thing. I haven't pulled this out in 15 years, guys. This This was my presentation book. I would sit down with somebody. I would say, this is my family. This is why I do the business. Here's my salvage title Geo Metro that I was driving when I signed up. But that's my first new car I ever bought in my life, a truck. Then I'd show them the other cars that I bought, show them the houses that we built. I'd show them the Performance Club check. I would show them the we used to get real paper checks for Performance Club. I'd show them the briefcase we got with $10,000. I'd show them professional athletes to join my team. This is Mark Shurtleff, Attorney General for the state of Utah, bought a Legal Shield membership from me. I just go through it. And again, what do I got in here? Stories, letters, stories, letters. Some of them are mine. If you don't know, that's a traffic ticket, okay?
Right.
Some of them are mine, and some of them are other people's stories that I just collected and I had to put in here. But again, facts tell, stories sell. And anytime someone asks a question, I say, that's a great question. Let me show you a story about how Capital One ripped off my friend, but the law firm sent a letter and here's the outcome. Boom. So again, stories, 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 stories. Great question though, Steve.
Thank you, Dave.
You get to steal other people's stories until you have your own.
And we have one more question, Miss Connie Ayat.
I don't have so much as a question as just saying, wow, like my heart's still racing, Dave. I watched your presentations and I love your stories, but you always get me. And I want to thank you for the reminder. I use my law firm all the time. What if you lock, if somebody's locked a dog in the car? I'm like, I don't know, I'm going to tap the app. So I have that belief, but the reminder that you give that, that gut punch, that I'm not doing enough. Like I'm not talking enough, that fear. I just have to get over that because especially COVID, people need this and I'm being very selfish. So I appreciate you getting on and just reminding me. I don't even want to start crying because you hit me and this belief is solid. Everybody needs to know so they can have options and have true freedom. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Absolutely. Anytime. And you're so right, you guys. There's millions of people in America alone tonight that went to bed so lonely, so depressed. Whether it's how do I buy groceries for my kids? How do I come up with rent this month? How do I stand up to that bully at work? What am I going to do about this car that the dealership won't honor the warranty? You guys, there are so many people that are being treated unfairly across America, and we have the answer, and we walk right past them like it doesn't even matter if we say hi or smile at them or anything else like that. And I mean, here locally, on the news every Wednesday night, they have a segment called Wednesday's Child, and they always show a kid, usually a teenager, a little bit older, in the foster home program, just trying to find a family. And it's so hard for me and my wife to watch those segments because I want to adopt every single one of them. I'm just like, Wendy, we could get another bunk bed and stack these kids in this room and stuff like that. Like, we could give that kid a home and stuff. And I got to realize, man, God gave me 8. I got to make sure that they're taken. I can't solve every problem in the world, but man, what if I could help the mother of some of these kids find a way to make an extra $500 a month? It makes such a big difference. And it can grow from there. Remember the lady that showed up at my house, she didn't sell me anything. I was adamantly opposed to doing it. But we watched the video, it planted the seed germinated, and bam, it took off from there and stuff like that. And so every one of us have the ability to not just change our lives. Every one of us on this call have the ability to change thousands of people's lives. But if we keep it a secret tomorrow and don't say something, we miss that opportunity.
Dave, I want to thank you so much for your time. There's hearts. I see people with hearts. We're doing the applause. Thank you for sharing your story and just sharing your zeal sharing just the passion that you have for our business. And I would agree, igniting that for all of us. Thank you. Thank you so much. And I want to let you know that I was talking to Dave earlier on, and I said we had this Thursday, and he said, whenever you need me, just let me know when to show up. So I want to just double down and say you're a man of your word, and I am so glad that we were able to make this work out tonight.
Hey, I'm happy. And let me tell you, for all you New Englanders, if you're ever out here in Utah and you need a tour guide, I'm 100% serious. You just call me and say, hey, we're going to be in town on this day and we'd like to go do something fun. I will take you out on a guided ATV ride to the Rocky Mountains and blow your mind.
Thank you so very much. Good night, Dave. And we did go a little bit over. I just wanted to check in with everybody before we wrap up. I want to thank you so much, Dave, and have an amazing night. And I'm just going to pull myself off of Spotlight to just circle back around with everybody.
All right, everybody have a great night. We'll talk to y'all later.
Thank you,
Thank
Dave.
you. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks,
Hey,
Joe.
everybody,
Good
we
night.
are still streaming. I'm going to go ahead and I just wanted to circle around and say thank you so very much. I know that we've gone over. A friendly reminder that next week is convention, and I'm sure people are super excited about that. In your, I was reminded that in your messages there is the list of all of the breakouts. There are still people who do have bundle tickets. They are definitely harder to find, or they can pay the full price through the office still, I believe, to get to the conference. I'm going to go ahead and stop the stream. So thank you all very much. And
Thank
good
you,
night.
Joe.